Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Kevin McCluskey, who is in Hungary, and Sean Connolly, who is at 4:30 a.m. in Australia, up to watch the game. Kev, I think the last thing we said was if things really aren't going our way and it's nothing each or even 1-0 to Hearts, don't panic at half-time. It turns out that's what's happened in the first half. What do you think the problem has been in relation to our lack of creation of chances? That's been a big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, on that one, I just think we're not moving the ball quickly enough. It was commented on towards the end of the half there on Celtic TV, and I tended to agree with it. There's been moments when players have just kept the ball for that second or two too long. In the passing opportunity's gone. You give Hearts a wee bit of credit for that actually, because I think they've set their shape up pretty well. They've made it difficult for us to have any space to play through, or for guys to run into. They've set themselves up pretty well, and they've actually come out and had more of a goal than they normally would. I would say under Stephen Naismith's tenure, for example. I think give Hearts credit for that, for helping us to not be able to play a normal game. But I think that's what it's been, because the few occasions when we actually have moved the ball quickly, we've been able to almost get in behind. So the final ball's let us down a wee bit, but there's a moment I'm not sure what minute it's in, maybe 35 minutes actually. We've got CCV gets the ball, plays the pass into Taylor, who's moved into that inverted role. Quick pass out to Maeda, and he's in, and the cross gets blocked, I think. But those moments are there. It's just we haven't had the quickness and accuracy of the pass to get us in behind enough times. But I'll say something that might be a bit contradictory, apart from the fact that Hearts have probably had the better chances to score with the ones that Shankland had in the first 20 minutes or so. I actually think we've been the better team, and we look very comfortable in possession and on the ball. So again, like we've said a few times before, it's 0-0, but there's no need to panic. We've got the players in the armoury here that we can see this game out.
The way I've kind of looked at it, Sean, is that we have had the lion's share of possession, absolutely. We've looked comfortable enough. But Schmeichel has made 3 saves, so Hearts are creating chances. By the way, I think they were routine saves. There was no moment where the Heart's in the mouth, but they're creating the chances. I think Penrice has had a good first half down the left-hand side. We allow far too many crosses, I think, in that first half. We're allowing the ball to come in. Now, I'm going to ask you here, I think it's a risky game. If you're comfortable allowing them to cross the ball in because you think, well, it's fine because Trusty and Carter Vickers will deal with that, I think that's a risky game to play. Or is it because the fullbacks aren't closing them down quickly enough, Sean?
Yeah, I was having to think about that, because Penrice is getting a lot of space down that side. But it's not just, he's been supported by his teammates, so I wonder that it's that Alistair Johnson's maybe getting a little bit hung out to dry there, getting loaded up on. I mean, Maeda's having such a poor game attacking. It might be a good idea to switch him over there so he can help out defensively on Alistair Johnson's side. But then that probably neuters Kuhn as an attacking threat by sticking him on the opposite side. But yeah, like the Hearts game is, it's Tynecastle, it's the small pitch, and they're really putting a lot of pressure on McGregor in particular, who's been, I wouldn't say poor per se, but he's really struggling with the pressure. He's getting dispossessed much more often than he would normally, and they're quite happy to let Carter Vickers and Trusty have the ball. And Carter Vickers has looked good at times, but I don't know if that's where we want the ball to be, spending so much time in Carter Vickers' possession. But yeah, they're doing a good job. Hearts good shape, and they're triggering the press at the right times, and they're overloading on our right hand side, and it's working for them in a sense. But as you mentioned, these are not like world class saves from Schmeichel, but they are drawn saves. So hopefully they don't manage to get one of those in a quality area with a quality shot, because we could be struggling if they do, because we've not taken too much.
No, this is the thing, and Craig Gordon hasn't been tested in the first half. Brian Kelly. When someone says we're too slow, it's so easy on the eye to say, yeah, we absolutely are, Brian. But what's the cause of that? So I'm looking at the defence, and I'm thinking to myself, they're playing their usual game. They've got a good range of passing, I think, in the middle of the park. You've got Taylor switching in. You've got Johnson doing his underlaps. A couple of times him and Kuhn linked up pretty well. So I don't see any difference with the back line. I'm going into the midfield though, and I think that lack of pace is coming from the midfield. I don't think that Kyogo's having a bad game because he's wasted anything or he's spurring chances, etc. There's a good point coming in from Leanne. I'm going to bring this up here. I wasn't counting Leanne, but I have the same consideration about Kyogo. I've seen a couple of these runs, and I thought to myself, at one point he throws his arms up in the air because Carter Vickers picks out Maeda instead. So he's trying his heart out, as he always does, but he's feeding off very, very little. And I think it is the midfield. I don't think Hatate's been in the game. Engels is getting a bit of stick in the comments. He's not been great. And McGregor's been a bit slack, Kevin, in the first half. So I think, the midfield have to carry the ball much better. They've got to use the wings better because we do have Maeda and Kuhn, who, in the first 5 minutes, Kuhn made a run. And albeit it was one of the runs where he's just getting further and further into the middle of the goal from the right-hand side, takes on 3 or 4 players, but kind of runs into another group of players. There was nowhere for him to go. And I'm going to say the problems that we've got in that first half are all coming from the midfield. It's the lack of pace. It's the inability for them to carry the ball forward and turn, the transition from defence into attack, get Hearts on the back foot and find those pockets of space in behind the Hearts defence. I've seen McGregor doing it a few times. It's his MO where he tries to wee dink over the top, but it's not really worked out. Not a great night so far for the midfield, Kev.
No, it's not. And that would be the area that I would be highlighting as well, where I'm saying we need to move the ball quicker. Because it is coming from them. If you look defensively, like you said, I think Carter Vickers he's the one who's trying to force the issue and get us moving the ball quickly and at times cut the midfield out and try and be a bit more direct. Trustees look fine on the ball, and the 2 fullbacks are generally fairly solid whenever they've been in possession, but we are losing it when it's coming to the midfield. Again, don't always like to do it, but we'll give the opposition a bit of praise and credit for that, because I do think that, as Sean pointed out, they've pressed Callum McGregor really well. There's been numerous occasions he's picked the ball up, and there's 2 Hearts players on top of him, and he's not really been able to work his way out of that. We've seen it in games where he has, and tonight he's not been able to do it. He's having to go back. He's been dispossessed. He's not getting the support as well then from Engels, Hatate to help him out in those situations. And when those 2 have got the ball themselves, I don't recall Hatate doing anything spectacular with the ball today. I don't recall him doing anything to try and force the issue and drive us forward and take us, create anything for us. So I think he's been pretty weak and poor in there, which is what you sometimes get from Rio. But on the flip side, you do know that he's got that ability to split a defence with one pass if he wants to. As for Engels, I'd give him pass marks for that first half. I know that some of his distribution hasn't been on point. It's not really been hitting the man, but I think he's been trying to do it. There's a few times he's tried to pick out Kyogo's runs that he's been making in the inside right channel, where he's been trying to link play up with Kuhn and with Alistair Johnson and at least be involved in the game. It's a game that's just not working out for him so far, but he's at least given that minimum of effort. But definitely the midfield it's not living up to the billing that we would maybe give them pre-match. And maybe to solve it, it's one of those rare occasions that Brendan needs to make a change at half-time, and you could get Bernardo to come on there, who gives you a bit more athleticism, a bit more physicality as well. Might also be able to drop back and help Callum out, do that double 6 at times, and then push Engels a bit more further forward. I'm not sure if that's the answer, but it's maybe something that Rodgers would consider.
When I look at that midfield, Kev, I can't go back on what I said in the pre-match. This is my favourite midfield. I think it's our best midfield. They've not.
It's mine as well, but it doesn't always work in every game, though. That's the thing.
This is it, and it's not working tonight. And I think about Bernardo. Who would you say, Sean, is our box-to-box midfielder? Who's the guy that can, pick the ball up? I'm thinking of that move in the Scottish Cup final where Bernardo gets the ball and he's in the centre circle. He carries the ball. It's his shots that's then saved, ricochets off the goalie, and the rebound is put in by Ida. For me, he shows some elements of the box-to-box type midfield player. Would you agree with that? A lot of calls for McCowan to come on as well. It's not as simple as just, flicking a switch in the midfield starts to play better. I mean, it's a much tighter park. I was looking at dimensions of the park. It's quite frightening, actually, when you look at Tynecastle, because according to my source here, the Tynecastle Park is 98 metres long. Celtic Park is 125 metres long. I mean, that's incredible. 68 metres wide compared to Celtic Park's 80 metres wide. So this is tight. This is a much tighter park than Celtic Park. In terms of the change, I would be surprised if they made it at half-time, Sean.
I'm just stunned with the difference that you've just said there. That doesn't feel right. That's
huge,
so bizarre. Like, huge difference. Yeah, it would affect everything from taking corners to just the amount of time and pressure you're under. I do wonder as well how much the weather's playing a factor. If the players are feeling a bit, I don't want to say cold, like, bless their cotton socks, but I mean, like, maybe just like a bit, taking, like, the cold air could affect how the ball moves and stuff like that sort of. And I think Engels' corners have been off as well, so I don't know if that's, again, the distance, because I remember I played with the indoor centre at Tory Glen, and taking a corner kick there is, because it's the international size AstroTurf, and taking a corner kick is like taking a goal kick. It's so far from the goals, so it does make a difference. The size of the pitch, but yeah, in terms of box to box, like, I think anyone can be a box to box, and a pitch that size, I think that the more factor of the game here is the tightness of the pitch and how congested things are. So, but Hearts are spending a lot of energy. They are getting up and down. They are dropping in deep when they have to, and then they're getting up and pressing when they have to. And I don't know that Hearts are equipped to maintain that for 90 minutes. I don't know that they have the quality on the bench to maintain that for 90 minutes. Whereas I hope and have seen in the past that Celtic have got the quality to maintain their style of play for 90 plus minutes. And I hope that does make a difference after the hour. I don't really see us scoring in the first 15. And you never know, we might come out, we might be rejuvenated at halftime, but I feel like it'll probably be the same kind of holding pattern, and the subs will make the difference. Not necessarily because the subs are intrinsically better players, but because the subs are equivalent players, and Hearts will start to tire.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And again, it's that whole, trust the process. And by the way, it becomes something of a mantra at half-time. Kevin McCluskey and I have said that so often, haven't we? First 10, 15 minutes, we turn the screw, we start to create the openings. You've got guys on the bench like James A. Forrest, who has had successes at Tynecastle, knows what's required. Maeder's not having a great night tonight. I think Kuhn's probably been slightly better in terms of his contribution. You've got McKeown, who I think can change things up a wee bit. Bernardo. Engels, he's getting a half time. He really is getting a half time in the comments. I don't think he's been as bad as that, but he's certainly not stamped his authority on the game. Hearts, Tony says, have had the better opportunities. We really need to be alive to that. I think we've dealt with them okay and fairly comfortably, Tony. But as Sean said, all it takes is one worldly from outside the box, and then it's all about us trying to get back in. Andy Lee, poor first half, but kept them out. We will be better in the second half, and I don't think we can afford not to be. Someone says they need a rocket at half-time, Danny boy. I agree, and I think Rodgers does deliver the rockets when required. Maybe he'll be calm. Maybe he'll just think, listen guys, that wasn't great, but we're going to grind them down. Gordon has had nothing to do. We need to test the goalie, Patrick. We know all about Craig Gordon. Let's get him tested. And James Cormack, you're in for one of the final comments before we get back to the action. Not a game for Hatate. I think McKeown on for him and Ida for this game. Stuffy, slow, and a bit one-dimensional. Not using the width on the left and right enough. Trying to play through the middle too much. Maybe deliberately, guys, when you look at the dimensions of the pitch, why we're not utilising the wings as well as we are used to. Aidan, the midfield, I agree, that's where the problem seems to be this evening. Celtic follower, you're being bold. Taylor and Kalmack off, Bernardo and Baye on, please. I don't think Taylor's had a great first half, to be honest with you, but I don't expect any changes at half-time. Paul McLean, midfield miles off it, not tracking runners either, and Pete says, Johnston caught out 6 times. Schmeichel inviting the pressure. Engels empty jersey. Maeda awful. Maeda does look a wee bit tired. We spoke about that about the Japanese boys, Kev, and I think the only one at the moment who gets pass marks because he's not really had any opportunities, Kyogo.
Yeah, and he gets the pass marks. I can't remember, sorry, who it was that came up with a comment earlier on, Leanne, about the number of runs that he's made. That's where he gets his pass marks from, because he's making those runs. They're the right runs into the right space. He just needs to be picked out. As soon as someone can start to do that, that could be the point that turns the game and turns it in our favour. But up until that point, Kyogo will be frustrated man, which again was something we spoke about pre-match. So let's hope he's not frustrated come the end of the game and someone's actually, decided to take note of those runs and start picking them out.
Yeah, without a doubt, let's get back to the action. Ladies and gents, thanks everybody for getting involved. 1,500 strong. Wee bit frustration there in the comment section, understandable. Hopefully we're a lot happier at full time. Join us at full time with Kevin McCluskey and Sean Connolly on A Celtic State of Mind.
Yeah.